There is a major issue in Arsenal. We saw a bit of it on Sunday. But currently, this issue is threatening not just every other trophy they're going after this season, but majorly the EPL trophy. And this is within the Arsenal squad, within the Arsenal front line. I'll bring this to the fore later in this conversation, but let's talk a bit about what happened on Sunday. Yes, welcome once again. This is James, your one and only anchor on this show. So, in my place, there's this saying that when a child has not grown and decides to tie wrapper, when the wind blows, it will carry both the wrapper and the child. So we saw what happened on Sunday. Yes, Arsenal came face to face with Manchester City. Yes, Manchester City has been not so consistent this season, but there's a thing about finals. There's a thing about winning mentality. When I talk about a winning coach and how much we need it in Chelsea, that is what came to fore on Sunday. A winning coach, someone that has won trophy, someone that has won things, someone that knows what it takes when the stakes are the highest. That is what we saw on Sunday. The master and the master and the apprentice. He played out clearly. Because at levels like this, it takes a lot of mental strength to scale through. Yes, because this season we've seen Arsenal come under a lot of fire from fans of different clubs, Chelsea fans, Manchester City fans, Manchester United fans, Liverpool fans. They've come under a lot of heat, and not just because they are topping the EPL table, but if you look at it critically, at the beginning of this season, at the early part of the season, people applauded the defense they have. How tight they are at the back, how difficult it is to scum Arsenal. But as the season progressed, the conversation changed. Not just because, yes, you can say that, people don't want Arsenal to win, they want Arsenal to keep coming second and all that. That is by the side. We look at the way they win games. A lot of goals are coming from set piece. Your front men are not getting goals, which is part of what I'll talk about later, when I mention the thing that threatens Arsenal trophies this season. Your front men are not getting goals. So people are like, okay, it's better to be known as, okay, score one goal and defend, be very solid at the back. Of course, Chelsea has been known for that, in the past for so many years, and Chelsea won a lot of trophies from that. No issues. But if you are doing well in that department and we see you trying to capitalize on the loopholes in the laws of the game, because I don't see why you're about to take a corner kick and you are crowding the goalkeeper. You are trying to limit the movement of the goalkeeper. Because what this goes to show is that probably the rules around corner kicks and set pieces need to be reviewed. Because why crowd the goalkeeper? Why not pick your spots and try to get your goal? At least play fair. But Arsenal has decided to throw that into the bin and muscle their way through using the dark arts, to see if they can get trophies this season. But bro, it's not that easy because it takes a lot of mental strength. Because right now, a lot of teams are against Arsenal. When I say teams, I mean the fans. They're against Arsenal. Now, against Manchester City, Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, Manchester United fans, we are solidly behind Manchester City. And trust me, it takes a lot of mental strength to wade through that challenge. Because I'll give you an example. On July 13th, 2025, to, of course, quite recent, the Club World Cup final against PSG, everybody was like, Chelsea in the finals of the Club World Cup? If these guys win this trophy, of course, it's the first of its kind. Because right now, the previous Club World Cup has been changed to Intercontinental Cup. So the only champions of the Club World Cup right now is Chelsea. So people were like, if Chelsea wins this cup, man, that's going to give them a lot of clout. That's going to give them a lot of, pedigree. So every English team was solidly behind another team from another country. You understand? From another country. So on that fateful afternoon at the MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, United States, Chelsea was standing alone against, we against the world, practically. So it took a lot of mental strength to wade through that gap. Not a mental strength that came from the team, but a mental strength that came from the pedigree, from the heritage of the club, because they've done it before. Yep, not just once, but a couple of times. So that is what you need at this level. And when I say they've done it before, let me refresh your memory. In 2012 against Bayern Munich in their home ground, Champions League night. Before that night, Chelsea has never won the Champions League. They came the closest against the final with Manchester United, which they lost to Man U, on penalty shootouts. So 2012, by the way, going into that game, of course, Chelsea had a very shambolic season. Very shambolic season. They ended up sixth on the table. They had to sack Andres Villas-Boas, the previous coach. So Chelsea practically went into that game with an assistant coach. And before we go into that, let's talk about the things that happened before the game. I remember building up to that a final in the round of 16. First leg was against Napoli. Napoli trashed Chelsea 3-1 in Italy. And that led to the sack of the coach. So the coach left. Of course, before he left, he did a lot of things that didn't augur well with the team, because the team, every team should have a spirit, every team should have a spine. So once you tweak the spine of the team, you should be ready to back it up with results. So he tweaked the spine of the team, of course, started keeping Drogba on the bench. Even Lampard was not spared, and the results were not there. Coming into the second leg of that game, Chelsea were 3-1 down already. But the spine got on board. John Terry was there, Frank Lampard, Didier Drogba. Chelsea won that game 4-1 against all odds. Nobody expected that. Moving into the next round, the quarterfinal, it was Benfica. Of course, we did Benfica home and away. We beat Benfica 1-0 and 2-1. Then after that, we came face to face with Barcelona. Barcelona was at the form of their life at the time. In England, we won the game 1-1. In Spain, Chelsea picked a red card and still ended up getting a draw in the game 2-2. That was what took us to the final against Bayern Munich, who were also at the form of their life. And just to give you a bit of a background, these two teams scored 7 goals in a match in that tournament, Barcelona and Bayern. So when it comes to goals, they have enough people to supply them. These were very strong teams, but the teams stood together. The spine was back. The boys were ready to sweat and shed their blood on the pitch for the badge. And against all odds, they came against Bayern. They conceded penalty during the game, which Ian Robin missed. And Chelsea ended up winning the game and the trophy. So if you are coming from a club that has this kind of pedigree, this kind of heritage, it helps with your mental strength. It tells you that, if push comes to shove, you can do it. You can do it. So right now, Arsenal doesn't have that, because if you look at the team for so long, they've not really won anything tangible. The EPL has eluded them. So many of you watching this clip, right now, that are 20 years, you guys have not seen Arsenal lift the EPL trophy. And that is a top club in London. So it tells a lot about the confidence of the team. It tells a lot about the spirit of the team. So I believe by now, of course, long ago, it has been put to bed, who is the pride of London and all that. The competition between Chelsea and Arsenal, that is no longer a conversation. So one can understand why Arsenal was found wanting in that game against Manchester City, because every club has its culture. Believe you me, if that game was Manchester City against Liverpool, you'd be surprised that Liverpool may carry the day, despite what is happening in Liverpool right now. So these things count when it comes to football. And of course, on the night, Arsenal was found wanting, and it is what it is. Kudos to Manchester City, the first major trophy of the season, in the bag, and they're still contenders for the EPL trophy. You can't, throw them away. Yes, despite the way they lost them, I wouldn't say woefully, but below expectation against Real Madrid. But fair enough, we know who Madrid is when it comes to Champions League and how formidable they are, in Champions League. So let's put that aside. So yeah, to the issue I want us to talk about, let's look at this clip. So this was a game of Arsenal. You can see Saka made a run with the ball. Gyökeres was placed in a strategic position to finish, but Saka for some reason didn't give him the ball. Same game, Saka gives the ball to someone else and the person squares the ball immediately to Gyökeres and he gets the goal. Now to the interesting part. See what happens after he gets the goal. The players come to celebrate and see the way he shoves Saka away immediately. One would say maybe he's well, what should I call it? He's excited and all that, fired up, adrenaline and all that. But notice the look on Declan Rice's face. Declan Rice was smiling when he got to Gyökeres, but after that shove, the smile changed. The facial expression changed immediately to tell you that something is happening, and this is the front line of Arsenal. So where will the goals come from? If there is no cohesion, if there is no partnership, if there is no teamwork in the front three, where will the goals come from? And to an extent, I fault Arteta because these are the things that a coach should be able to handle. You should be able to manage your team. You should be able to manage everybody in your team. Because to cut Saka some slack, yeah, you could say that this is coming from a place of a frustration because his numbers has not been good. Okay, in the league this season, Saka has scored only 6 goals in EPL. For someone in Saka's pedigree, that is shambolic. Because let's look at what he did. Okay, I won't use the previous season because he was injured for a good number of matches, a good number of weeks last season. So let's look at the season before last season. Saka got 16 goals in EPL that season. So coming from that, and now majority of this season he has been fit, he has been playing, but somehow the goals are not coming. So could it be that because of course Arsenal needed a striker, an out-and-out striker, and I know the tussle they went through before they were able to get Gyökeres. So you won't expect Arteta not to use Gyökeres. But right now we can see that most times Gyökeres comes from the bench. Of course, there is a competition from Gabriel Jesus, of course. That is fair enough. But of course, Gyökeres is the out-and-out striker, and Arsenal went, in fact, to a great extent, to a great length to get him. And the guy too did same, showing his determination to come and play for Arsenal. Now the guy is in, and we are seeing this crack between him and Saka. And you will understand. Okay, let's watch this other one. This is another game, between Arsenal and Inter. This was a clear. Saka was true on goal. Well, not necessarily true on goal, but ahead of every other person, heading towards the opponent's goal. But the ball was on his right foot, which was his weaker foot. Gyökeres and another player was just next to him. All he should have done was square the ball to them. But probably at the back of his mind, he knows that, okay, Gyökeres is there, I'm not going to give him the ball. So, all you Arsenal fans there, yes, the football banter is there. You can say that so many people are beefing you and stuff, but it's not. That is not your major challenge at the moment because you guys need to look inward. You need to look at this crack because this crack is widening. Because if you look at both players now, okay, Gyökeres has scored about 11 goals in Premier League, considering the amount Arsenal bought in and the drama surrounding his purchase. 11 goals. 11 goals, a striker that is below average. And of course, I don't want to talk about Saka. You understand? So you can see that it's not helping anybody. And if those guys are not getting goals, Arsenal is hurting. And if Arsenal is not winning trophies, if Arsenal is not bagging the 3 points per game, the fans will not be happy. So the fans should look inward. You guys should look inward. You guys should address this ASAP because I don't know why Arteta has not. Well, maybe he's working on it, but I think it's taking way too long. Because for it to come out on the pitch, it means that a lot has happened behind the camera. So that is what Arsenal needs to sort out if they intend to, progress any further. Yeah, they still have 3 trophies available to them. Hopefully, they can get at least 1 or 2 from those 3 you get. So if that is their plan, they should tidy this up ASAP. Because come on, you're not going to get corner kicks in every game. So what happened against Man City? So it's up to you. Get it, Teta. This is a job you need to do. Get it done ASAP. So on this note, I'll draw the curtain for this episode. Keep watching, keep supporting, keep sharing, and stay tuned for the next bit. Bye for now.